The last reel of the lineup features some of the most exciting filmmaking of the 1950s, starting with that tense tete-a-tete between Dancer and the Man through an incredible car chase that covers almost all of San Francisco's 7 square miles, to the dramatic finale on a stretch of the unfinished Embarcadero Freeway. Don Siegel clearly had a great time directing all these set pieces. And he gave a lot of credit to the San Francisco Police Department, who, because of the success of the TV series, lent its full cooperation to the filmmakers. The stunt driver in those scenes was Guy Way, who was also an actor. In fact, he plays the cab driver who crashes on the waterfront in the first scene of the film. Bear in mind that back then, there was no CGI. All those stunts were real, including Way bringing the getaway car to a screeching stop just a few feet from the edge of the unfinished freeway. According to Siegel, for that shot, Way convinced his wife to double for actress Mary LaRoche. Filming was then delayed while Mrs. Way collapsed on the freeway in a hysterical fit once Siegel had yelled, "Cut." For about 10 years, the lineup had the distinction of containing the greatest car chase in American cinema, until Steve McQueen pulled into San Francisco in that iconic '68 Ford Mustang GT. For the record, neither chase scene in the lineup or bullet are logistically possible, although Siegel's film at least makes an attempt at following a believable route through the city. I also note that I have outlived the freeway you see at the end of the film. The initial stretch, which you saw here, was completed in 1959, but its proposed extension, reaching to the Golden Gate Bridge, was never started. In 1989, earthquake damage to the existing freeway led to its being torn down. Another vanished part of the city's history is Sutro Baths, where Dancer meets the Man. Located at Land's End, the westernmost tip of the city, Sutro's was built in 1894 as a public swimming facility, but by 1958 it had been converted into a skating rink. 8 years later, fire destroyed the remaining structure. All that's left now are the ruins of its original foundation. And if you think you recognize the Man, don't worry, you won't be killed. Actor Vaughn Taylor, a CPA turned actor, is probably familiar to you for a more benign part. He is Janet Leigh's boss in Psycho. And if the pairing of these oddball hitmen seemed familiar, maybe it's because Don Siegel would direct another film in a similar vein, The Killers, in which assassins, played by Lee Marvin and Clu Gulager, track down the big boss who hired them. A pistol with a silencer, hidden in an attaché case, also figures prominently in that 1964 film. Character actor Robert Keith rates a special mention. After early success on Broadway, the Indiana native came to Hollywood in the late 20s with his bride, stage actress Peg Entwistle. She gained lasting notoriety in 1932 for jumping to her death from the H in the Hollywood sign. That was enough to send Keith back to Broadway, but he returned to films in the late 40s, enjoying steady work in many terrific movies, including Woman on the Run, The Wild One, Guys and Dolls, and Written on the Wind. At the same time, Brian Keith, his son by an earlier marriage to actress Helena Shipman, became a popular actor in his own right. After directing the lineup, Don Siegel turned mainly to television. In fact, The Killers was made for television, but proved too violent for NBC, the network that commissioned it. In 1968, Siegel returned exclusively to features, creating a string of exceptional genre pictures, many starring Clint Eastwood. Coogan's Bluff, Two Mules for Sister Sarah, The Beguiled, and their most successful collaboration, 1971's Dirty Harry, for which Siegel returned to the scene of the crime, San Francisco. One of Siegel's last films reunited him with Eastwood and San Francisco, 1979's Escape from Alcatraz. Eastwood always called Don Siegel his filmmaking mentor, and the student certainly learned well. And remember to visit the Noir Alley Facebook page and Twitter feed, and join us again next week when I'll present the directorial debut of director Robert Rossen, 1947's Johnny O'Clock, starring Dick Powell and Evelyn Keyes. And if you want more famous last words, how can you beat See You in the Shadows?